in 5.1 to the front, so really heavy to the front. She threw a caution flag there. And, we always talk about how a lot of our horses are going in on their front end. A lot of that is because we're riding heavy to the front and it forces them onto their front end. Her lateral balance was really good. She was pretty dang close to zero, so 2.2 to the left. So that was great. And so we took some pictures and videoed her and did some work. And we did an adjustments to her hips and her seats, as well as a little bit of upper body move or adjustments as well. And then in 30 minutes, we went to 2.4 to the front. So we cut that distance on the
That's
front
amazing.
in half. Yes. Yes. I was super excited about this one. Her right to left was not our primary focus, but we did see a little change in that. She went to 0.2 to 0.6, but she flipped over to the right side, which is I think that's her problem side. So that came out there. So she's going to continue to work on that one. But what a difference. And what we're trying to do is get to zero on the front to back, and we'd like to see it a little bit to the back if we're going to be either direction. So she's certainly headed in the right direction, and she was practicing something new that she had just learned in the 30 minutes between the two readings. So I was really excited about that change in her front to back reading.
I love it. And I love, like, when you started out talking about the first reading that we're looking at, like this horse is how much? 5.1 on the front. Again, traditional barrel racing tells us to buy a lifter bit, tells you to leave the alley and get your horse's nose. Am I wrong? But if we are riding completely unaware that we're the ones causing them to shove their feet and their shoulder into the ground, do you see how we're defeating ourselves and not even knowing it? It's costing you so much more than a second on the clock. It's costing you thousands, if not millions of dollars. Patty, you're our one in-person student. You drove all the way from Tennessee to Aubrey, Texas. What was yesterday like for you working with the data?
Oh, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, I never realized that I was leaning forward, and just my hip movement made a big difference. And even with my mare, she just would lower her head and just soaking it all in.
And your hip, you discovered you had kind of a sticky hip.
Right.
Which one was it?
My left hip.
Okay. And for people who are watching either right now live or they're going to watch this replay and they're like, wait a second, I've had some hip pain or sometimes my hip bothers me. What did you think about? Did you always have hip pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you make the connection that was impeding the communication with your horse?
No, not really. Now, I had a trainer friend that told me that I was heavy on my right side. My saddle was tilted to the right. And I said, well, my left hip kind of hurts me. And he says, well, you're compensating. So you just kind of need to be aware of that and keep shifting over. So
yes. And he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome man.
Yes. Sounds
Do
like
you
it.
offer lessons?
We do. So glad you asked. We're going to talk about that more today, like how you can get involved. If you want to come ride at the ranch, typically when we do an online clinic, we're going to have a very limited amount of spots to bring your horse in person. I want you, who was that just asked me, by the way?
Destiny.
All right, Destiny, we talked yesterday, correct? You're just starting out. You've done body training or?
No, basically just learning.
Yes, but you're on an 18 horse. Cheerleading.
Oh,
that was it. Okay.
yes.
So you have the device about cheerleading. I want you in our classes. So if somebody please take note of that, whether it's Sherry or Kelly, let's get Destiny plugged in. And I will explain more, Destiny. So you're going to have an option to choose your level of coaching. All right. And I want to help customize it to what makes sense for you, for your time, for your budget, and your goals. What is the big result you want? Let's shorten that learning curve and get you results without your horse having to bear the brunt of, you learning, or for everybody else who's listening, for you unlearning. Destiny's new. She has a very rare opportunity. She doesn't have to unlearn a bunch of bad habits like most of us do. Patty, back to you in loosening up your hips, because we're going to talk about that today. What has been the biggest eye opener for you in kind of doing some soul searching and looking within as far as moving your hips differently on the horse? What's it done for your horse?
Oh, she's just night and day different. She'll just drop her head and just relax. And of course, what I learned through Chris in one of the classes is, working with her too. And that really, she just becomes so chill and zoned out sometimes.
And has she always been?
No.
No, she could be a little bit of a problem there. And we just didn't know. And she's talking about Chris Irwin, our celebrity coach at Stall High. He comes in and coaches on some Wednesdays. And he's one of my coaches now. And something he taught me last week about just moving a horse around on the ground, moving my hips, literally just an adjustment. If you could hold that a little bit lower, Nick, I'm going to give y'all, that's good right there. Just a little snippet of what I learned from Chris last week about my hips, because this is a continuous learning journey. There's a lot of energy that comes from our core, whether you're aware of it or not, your horse is. And so when we're not aware of how much energy we are emitting toward a horse, and we just move our body around. And does anybody have a horse who's very sensitive in the head and head shy? I bet there's more than one person on this call. Be careful when you face your buckle to their head, or go test it tonight. When you face their head with your core energy, they're going to elevate. Well, what happens when they pick their head up? They have triggered the amygdala in their brain. They're in front to back energy. That means either fight you or run from you. It is not learning. It's not a learning posture. They're going to tense up in the back. Again, we talked about that yesterday. Then their back feet can't get up under them for balance. And that just further amplifies and exacerbates the problem of them being stuck in survival mode all the time. So be careful about where you're placing your core energy. And when Chris was telling me how to just shift my hips differently while I'm lunging a horse on the ground, this horse right here went from wanting to kind of leak over toward my roan horse Dover, because he saw Dover close by and he wanted to like pull and gravitate over there. And Chris said, do not pull him with your hands. And he was basically teaching me that my hips are the steering wheel. And it worked. So can you imagine how much relief it must be to a horse when we can start to communicate better with our bodies and not have to touch their face so much, whether it's a bit or a hackamore? Can you imagine how much relief that must be? That's crazy. Are y'all ready for a demo? Sherry, is there anything else you want to share? Oh, I want to hear about the strike force, please.
We didn't see a whole lot of change in the strike force between those two readings like we did yesterday when I looked at the trot level. So I don't have a whole lot of updates on that. I do want to ask.
But the
Patty
people
to
who
clarify.
didn't go VIP, they didn't get to see the strike force.
I don't have that ready. What we did look at yesterday, we were, I believe it was at 0.4 when you were riding at a walk, your style. And then when we looked at the Betty style, it was 1.3. So it was about a third of what it normally, what it was. So that's a lot of less pressure on joints. That's how it translates.
Yes. You have a question for Patty?
I do. So when we saw that big change in your balance, did we change anything on the horse? Did we change the saddle, the bridle, any of the equipment? Did we make any changes to that yesterday?
Oh, no. None at all.
We just flowed from you riding one way to having a quick conversation. And then that's how we got to those results. So that was so exciting.
Hips and shoulders.
Yes.
Yes.
We didn't know, Sherry. We've all been taught to pride ourselves on having a good seat. But again, good seat based on human opinion, not on what the horse feels like.
Yes.
not on how the horse receives our seat and our communication. So for everybody here today, you are struggling to get out of the 3D. I want you to really consider how your hips are moving or not moving. Your hips are probably not articulating enough. They're not saying enough. It's hard for your horse to understand you, especially when your hands are compensating for your hips. Uh-oh, there's another bullseye moment. Are y'all ready for a demo? We're going to have fun
Yes.
today. Stephanie, our friend Stephanie said, Kendra, you need to make it real obvious when you're riding Betty barrel racer style. So we're going to go ahead and full send it today. I'm going to step into my Betty racer mode. Are y'all okay if I do this? Let's have some fun. I mean this in love. I do not mean disrespect to anyone. This is how I was taught to run barrels. Chances are we were all taught this way, right? And we're not throwing shade on anyone, any brand, anything. We are here to call everyone up, not out. But let's have some fun. Are you ready? All right, Nick, I'm going to switch my camera. Nick's on the camera. Of course, Nike is ready. I'm going to go into my Betty barrel racer mentality, how I was taught to run barrels. Let me point out several things. And tell me, y'all, if y'all are riding in any of these things. Metal stirrups. I like these metal stirrups. My name's Betty Racer, and I only ride in metal stirrups. And I like the ones with a slant because I have bad knees. I like this nylon. What's my Latigo? I don't use leather. I like nylon. My next purchase is going to be a real pretty one with all those wild colors. I use one of these small thin pads to get down close to my horse. I've got this off billet over here. It's leather and nylon so it doesn't wear out because I'm tired of buying those things. I've had this one for 18 years and it's still going strong. This is my cinch that I like to use. It's nylon and felt. I like my stirrups long so they're comfortable for me. I ride on the arch of my foot. This is my good deep seat saddle because I want a saddle that really holds me in. And you'll see that I got a really good dish here so I can sit down and really just sit deep in this turn. And I got a big rise right here so I can really lean up over. I've got something to support me. All right, Nike, are you ready? Now, I'm going to go back into Kendra for a minute. Y'all watch how this horse moves. Let me take my Betty hat off for a second. Watch his back legs. Watch the polar wraps. Watch his head and neck. Watch his posture. I want you to watch the dust in the ground. Is our stride device working today? It's offline today. All right, maybe I didn't charge it enough. We had the stride device, we'd be rolling it. We'll bring it back tomorrow when we have that thing working. But I want you to use your eye. This is undeniable. You ready? I'm going to go ride Betty Racer style. Once again, I ride on the arch of my foot. This is a young gelding. It's slick by design. Got a real good temperament about it. I'm going to my horse right there. Make sure it's nice and quiet. I'm having in control. What? I probably have to put my headphones back on so I can hear.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit, Kendra, but we've got people saying, look at those ears, tail swishing, his tail is angry. Yeah, and somebody else said you're breaking up for them too. It's not just me. He's not happy.
Where did you set them?
I got them in my pocket.
Yeah.
Rhonda says he's heavy in the front.
I don't know what y'all are talking about. Heavy. I'll just lift him up. I'll get one of those lifter bits.
Well, we can hear you better now.
Kick him into a trot.
We've
I've
got some
been
people.
riding horses my whole life. You
Okay.
can't tell me that that technology is going to make a dang bit of difference in how I train my horses. This has always worked for me. Look how much bend and flex my horse has right now.
And I don't think you mentioned too, watch how much dust is coming up from the ground now. The bent nose, the two that's always been drilled into my head, you can tell it's not comfortable. And they said that earlier when you stopped, he was happy and now he's mad.
What are y'all talking about? I pay this horse's bills. He's not mad. He has a good life. This horse loves to run. I pay every vet bill he needs. He has the best of everything.
Kay says my mare would be holding a mare grudge.
Let me take my Betty hat off for a second. Watch my hips. Okay? Watch my hips when I ride like Betty Racer. Watch how little they move. And I want you to look at how short this horse's stride is. You're going to be able to see in a minute how tight his back actually is. If you're not looking at something different, if you have nothing to compare to, you're going to miss it and think this is fine and acceptable. It is if you want to stay stuck, if you want to continue to do what's been done decade after decade. I'm back. Betty Racer, she's back.
And Crystal says pelvis of the horse is twisted, hits hard, alternating fronts.
I was taught to just watch their eye. Watch their eye, get their nose. This is how I make sure I send them into the barrel. And I just start my colts out loping around the barrel just as soon as I can. Whoa. He's got a really good stop on him. Now I'm going to ask him, put my inside spur in him. I'm going to ask him to move over like this. I've got a lot of bend and flex. I'm going to ask him to go again. Really keep that shoulder lifted, y'all. That has served me well for 50 years.
Tammy says airways restricted by his Betty head position.
No, he just breathes like that all the time. I give him Ben Pullman when I run him. Whoa.
And what does his back legs look like to everyone when you're watching not only the polo area, but the full back leg? What are you seeing? Not striding out. Good, Rhonda. Hitting hard and lots of dust. Stiff. They're peggy. Yep, exactly. Short strides.
Trade you, Nick. Goodbye, Betty. It's all in fun and love. Woo. Hello, my name's Kendra Dixon, and I am a recovering Betty barrel racer. Here's what I have learned since starting Stall High. When I used to ride in a saddle like this, I thought I needed a saddle with a deep dish and a deep seat to hold me in. When I rodeoed in this saddle, it hurt my lower lumbar so bad. And I never made the connection until I started Stall High. And because this, as tall as this cantle was and as powerful as my horse was, coming through those turns, every impact, every blow to my backbone just sent pounds of pressure. Imagine the amount of force per square inch when your backbone is slamming into the cantle as your horse is making the turn. And not just one time, every single time you run. Sometimes every single time you ride. And it's not just your hips that are being shredded, because that force upon impact is being reverberated. It doesn't just come up your spine, but it's going through your horse's saddle down into your horse's spine and joints as well. Is this blowing your mind? Now look at this. This is a 14-inch saddle, but I actually don't have 14 inches to ride in because of the rise built in. This rise has been very popular for many generations. I call it a speed bump because it's slowing you down. Traditional barrel saddles have been built and marketed. The big claim to fame is that they can hold you in, but they're actually holding you back and holding your horse back. You must have mobility in your hips. You've got to have free range of motion. And the smaller the seat, the higher the rise, the taller the cantle, you lose mobility every single time you continue to add more. And they just keep getting taller. They look like a anvil or a vice grip these days. Are y'all seeing what I'm seeing? Do y'all agree? Come on over here. We're going to look at a different saddle and I'm going to show you the difference. I've
And
got a
Lynette
ruler
said-
here as well.
Lynette said she's bought 7 new saddles.
Lynette, I hear your story repeated over and over and over again. Like I've been through 8 saddles to fit my horse. Well, if we are making saddles to fit the horse, but they don't fit us, what have we accomplished? So let's just take a look at this one. Okay. Let me get this one. So we've got that ruler's not quite a full 12. And Nick, let's go on this side where the light's better. All right. So we're looking at a 14-inch saddle. Can y'all see that? 14. But if you actually look at how much space my hips have to move, it's about 5. How many of y'all are small enough to sit in a 5-inch saddle or a 5-inch chair? Does anybody have kids or grandkids in kindergarten or preschool? Have you had to go in for parent teacher day and sit in one of those little bitty chairs? I used to have to teach them one because I'm a speech pathologist by formal trade. Haven't been in the public school system in 25 years, but I used to have to sit in those little chairs every day. They're a trap. Even though you're low to the ground, you can fall out of them real quick because you can't slide your hips. You can't move. There's no mobility. Is this making sense? Patty, would you mind holding him? I'm going to change saddles. Let's talk through the tack really quick because it's not just the saddle, it's a lot of things. Did you know that metal stirrups conduct electricity? I never knew this, never even thought about it until we started doing these clinics online at Stall High. The slant, it is built for your compensation pattern. The slanted stirrups are marketed to relieve your knee pain, but your knee pain is caused by something else altogether. It's not really your knees. It's something else in your kinetic chain that is not functioning properly. And that's what we want to solve so that you don't ride crooked, you don't alter your joints, but you actually have grounded, stable stirrups under your feet, stability. Thin saddle pads, I know they're very popular. They come in a variety of colors. Thin saddle pads. And the reason I don't ride in them is because they allow a saddle to rock and wobble. I know they're marketed to set you closer to your horse. That is not necessarily a good thing. Think about socks. If you're going to go run a race or if you're going to go cross country hike, do I have anybody who hikes or runs? What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose thin socks, the little cute things they sell for fashion? Or are you going to choose performance? Performance socks are padded, y'all. They're thick. They're cushioned. Y'all see where I'm going? Nylon. If you're complaining about your horse being in pain all the time, but you have nylon for your latigo or you have it on your off billet just because you don't want it to wear out, which that thing costs what, 20 bucks? 30 bucks, maybe, but you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on pain relief. These are where the math doesn't come out in the wash because this is actually causing a pain point. So ride in real leather. This was one of my first attempts at having a bullseye saddle made to fit me, not just fit my horse. it's taken me, I think I'm going on the 14, 15-year mark having my saddles made. I call it the Bullseye. This version is the Bullseye 2.0. I've learned a lot about saddle making since I started this. I have lost count of how many times I would have a saddle maker listen to me explain, like, yes, it needs to fit my horse. I don't want it to hurt my horse, but it's got to fit me too, equally well. And they would be like, yes, ma'am, Miss Kendra, that just sounds so good. We got you. And they would hand me back something like that, a very well made, pretty barrel saddle. And I kept saying, I don't want a barrel saddle. That is counterproductive. I need a saddle that allows me to move. I've got to have room to move my hips with my horse instead of being stuck in one place or having static hips. So finally, watch out, Nick. Watch that chair, it's behind you. Finally, I found a saddle maker who would listen to me and create a seat that supports me, supports my posture, and doesn't limit my access to my hips. You'll see that this seat is much flatter and the bars are wider. So I've got more support for my horse's back, but also under my seat. I don't have that big, tall cantle slamming in my back. Kelly, did you join us today? Did Kelly make it?
He was here earlier.
Okay.
There she is.
I'm
Kelly?
here.
Hey, Kelly Crowley.
Hello.
When you switched to the Bullseye, and I think similar story, like you had a lot of different saddles. You went through all the top brands. What was that transition like for you?
Oh my gosh, it was night and day. I was on definitely the struggle bus down the never-ending rabbit hole of custom gullet trees, retreed the saddle twice, that still didn't fit, hurt my horse's back, all that stuff, a custom fit. And I was still struggling, still popping up out of my saddle when I was making runs, didn't understand why, because I've ridden my entire life and I think I have a decent seat. And so just fighting to, like, my biggest thing was that my horse I didn't get pitched forward, I would get left behind. Like, my feet would get in front of me and I couldn't get them back. And so then I would just be behind, like, my whole run, fighting to just keep up with my horse. And I started to finally realize, right before I found you, that my saddle was probably contributing to more of my trouble than I thought. And then in came you and Sell High, and it just all made so much sense. And when I got my Bullseye, which I didn't really tell my husband I was getting, uh, because he was so tired of hearing me fret about my saddle, talk about my saddle, this and that. Everything was always about my saddle, and I was so frustrated because it still didn't fit my horse, blah 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 blah. And he was so sick of hearing about it. He's like, I don't ever want to hear you talk about a saddle again. When I did get my Bullseye, I think he noticed that I quit talking about my saddle being a problem. But it was just amazing to me how comfortable it felt, even being brand new, how I was just able to find my seat, to let my hips move. I was like, finally, I'm not restricted. Like, it's not in my way. I had even borrowed another saddle from a lady, another big brand, before I got my Bullseye. I had borrowed one, and it's, quote unquote deeper seat to hold you in even better. And so many people around here love this particular saddle. And I tried it and I was like, no, I was like, it's in my way. Like, I can't move the way I need to move. And so yeah, when I got my Bullseye and I sat in it, I was just like, finally, freedom to move the way I need to move so that I can take myself, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. I can hold myself accountable. I can balance the way that I need to balance and not have my saddle just be a hindrance. And then the first run I made in it, I remember coming out being like, I didn't think about my feet. I didn't think about my feet one time during that run, which was like, that told me that I was like, every run I made in my other saddles, I was obsessing about my feet and worried about my feet, and I didn't have to think about it and worry about it. So it's just, I have two of them now. So
Look,
I
look
have
at the
multiple horses, and
difference.
I would like to have a third.
We're working on it, Kelly.
We won't
Can
tell
y'all see
Steve
the
that either.
difference? Can y'all see how much more room my hips have to move? And it's not just back to front. I have more room side to side. The tree is wider. Kelly, thank you for sharing your story. What did you learn? Like, you had a clue that you were fighting your feet, you were fighting these other saddles. You had a clue that they were, keeping your hips kind of stagnant. But what have you learned about hip mobility, about moving your hips since you joined this program and eventually became one of our coaches?
Yes. Well, it's just imperative to being able to ride well and have your relationship with your horse and their physical and mental well-being and our own, and then just to take that and apply it to the pattern. And it's something that I'm excited because it's something that I'm still learning to do even better every ride, and you are as well. And just being able to literally and figuratively unlock all of that that's been locked for so long. Like I didn't understand, and I know people say kids change you when you have kids. I have two, they're 5 and 4, but I feel like after I had the kids, like, and as an adult, like, I started to get more and more afraid and feel less and less confident in the saddle, which is crazy to me because I literally grew up riding and I grew up bareback and all of that. And I was so fearless and I loved the
Mhm.
horses that were a little bit on the spunkier side. And now I'm like, my one horse is a little bit more flighty, and I'm like, my kid self would have loved her. Adult self is a little bit more hesitant. But I feel like a lot of that, well, I know a lot of that is because I didn't realize how much going from doing all of the things I did as a kid and then wanting to just be a barrel racer, I didn't realize how much those traditional barrel saddles, because I would trail ride in them and everything,
Mhm.
how much I was restricted and how much I started to just be locked up even out of the saddle. So it's just, it's eye
Yes.
opening and it's really refreshing. It's literally a breath of fresh air to find out that you have a lot more hip mobility, and the longer you stay locked up, the harder it is to get unlocked. So
Yes. It's like wearing high
time's a
heels.
wasted.
We all know, like, society, like, we started putting two and two together, like women who had to wear heels for professional dress all the time. They started to develop a lot of back problems. And your foot will change. If you wear high heels, if you wear narrow boots all the time, your bones will change. The fascia will change. I was watching a piece of content about how our foot needs to naturally land. But if you wear boots all the time that don't allow you to have mobility through your foot and the fascia, there's a lot of signals under our feet that go straight to our brain and can trigger that central nervous system and can keep you stuck in survival mode all the time. So does anybody feel like just one thing after the other goes wrong? Is that your repetitive cycle in life? Let's look at your boots. I like simple answers. And this person was talking about when our boots don't allow our foot to spread or roll, have that roll and the wave to it, all you're doing is pounding fascia every single day. You're pounding the fascia. It is not communicating to your brain correctly. You're not getting spinal fluid, the flow that you could be getting when you just let your feet breathe. Same with our hips. Your hips are between your feet and your brain. So being able to move your hips with the horse. Now I'm going to ride stall high style. Y'all tell me what you see. Either Kelly or Sherry, please read the comments. Y'all can already see a difference in the horse's behavior and how he's carrying himself. There's a big, deep sigh, relief. What do you notice? Nick, I'm going to kick him into a trot.
Stride lengthened.
Did that help
Back is
anybody?
level. Back is level. Moving nicely, quieter.
I think he's happier. Think this is
Ears,
less
fo-
painful and less irritating.
ears forward and natural head placement. I can watch and not cringe. He's tracking well.
All right, let's kick him into a low. Watch my hips, y'all.
Back foot lands in front of the front foot print at a walk. No tail swishing.
No tail swishing. How about that? Ah, what's different about my hips, y'all?
He's still swishing a tail. Head's not lower.
You don't think his head's lower?
Mm-mm.
Am I forcing it, or is he in a more natural placement? Because I can force his head low like this. What we're learning is this cuts off your horse's air supply. It causes more wear and tear on the joints, and it keeps them in survival mode. It triggers the amygdala in their brain.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. And it's very difficult to argue with data. We can argue with one another. We can argue with ourselves, our horse, our trainers, our husbands, but you can't really argue with the dashboard that proves the difference it makes. And you can't argue when you see how much relief they have and release. I used to spend thousands of dollars paying specialists to come help my horse feel better so that they would be in optimum performance. There's nothing wrong with that unless we're the ones, the way we're riding, if we're not aware that we're creating the pain we're trying to take away.
That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for speaking up. I appreciate that. Let me kick him into a trot this way. And you're right. There is some tail swishing. Is it as much?
No.
No. Sherry, what else do y'all see? Read some more comments to me.
Your hips are flowing with the movement. You're moving with the horse and flowing, not just locked down in your seat, all tense. You're letting your hips rock with him. Your arms aren't stuck either and are moving a little with him.
Feels a lot better on my lower lumbar.
We've got
Looks
not
like he's really picking up his body a lot better.
Good. He heard me say, and he said, "Do you need woke?" Good boy.
think you both look like a team.
Oh, good job, kid. Good job.
Looks like a rocking horse.
Yes, it feels so much smoother. And I've ridden horses that were choppy and short strided. I never knew that the way I was sitting on them was making it worse. I didn't know that I could change my hips and smooth out their stride. I was completely clueless that I could lengthen their stride. And does it make more sense to lengthen the stride, to cover more ground than your competition without having as much impact in the ground on the joints?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. That's what we're teaching. It is different. What we're sharing this week is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just a little like when you go to the grocery store. I love Central Market. They talked about it the other day in Landman. We have a Central Market in Fort Worth and one in South Lake. And sometimes my husband and I just go for a date because it's a beautiful place to be. But on Saturdays, they typically have a lot of little samples, free samples, gourmet food. It's great. I love it. I love free samples. That's what this clinic is. It's a free sample so that you can see it, take a little test ride, see if you like it, see if you like us, see if you agree with this, and if you want to continue learning more. We actually want you to stay with us past this week. We would love to have you in our program and our class every week so that we can start to get to know you and your horse more and help you more on an individual basis, because we are all individual. My hips are different from Patty's. They're different from Sherry's. They're different from Kelly's. Like, we all have similar experiences, but unique at the same time. We've all had different injuries and setbacks. Well, we develop compensation patterns through that. And we may think because we're tough, I'm fine, I'm gonna make it to that rodeo anyway. Trust me, I have toughed it out a lot. And I prided myself on that. I did not understand that my horses had to compensate so much for my lack of balance. Me just trying to grit it out and hustle through it or medicate myself through it, I did not realize how much pain that transferred to them because I was riding like this. I used to sit crooked in the saddle. Can y'all see that? See how much my buckle just shifted to the left? Felt normal to me. But I had a really strange torsion pattern, and my fascia had developed where it kept my hips rotated forward and to the left and back a little bit. And I bet y'all have it too, and you just don't know it yet. That's why we're here. I want you to go think about your saddle today, guys. I want you to look at the wear patterns. And there's going to be a horse work assignment. I want you to go move your hips like you have an imaginary hula hoop on. And I want you to start to like get inside your own body. Close your eyes if you have to. As you're moving your hips in a circular motion or back and forth, that's your assignment today. I want you to pay attention if there are any delays. That's why you're in the 3D. Hello, ping, ping, ping. Every time you feel a delay, that is 1/10 of a second on the clock. You can continue to write big checks for better pedigree, popular pedigree horses, but you're going to continue to carry that compensation pattern to every single one of them. We're learning how to remap our mind to muscles, our body, how our body communicates to our horses. And Kay, thank you for speaking up when we first started this class, because Kay was one of the riders that realized early on, whoa, I do not want to repeat those old patterns. So she opted to just step back from competition for a few months, start changing her posture, and now she's back and better than ever. Her little gray mare is smoking some runs. Beautiful, beautiful runs. And they're getting consistent. The speed will come. We'll get you there. Any questions before we end? We have 3 minutes before we go to the VIP.
Stephanie had her hand raised earlier, so here you are, Stephanie.
Did. Hey guys, I just wanted to speak up here for a minute as well. I apologize, I'm in my car from lunch, but I joined the Stall High team in September, and
Yes,
I received a Bullseye saddle as a demo, did a review my ride with Coach Kelly, and have been slowly following along on the program. And I know this isn't necessarily what it's about, but just a little bit. I've won more money, as well as won my first buckle in 6 years in a Bullseye saddle, and have never felt more confident. And I am 2 years postpartum, which everyone's like, oh, 2 years. No, girl. It takes a long time to come back being a mom. So if you have any doubts in your mind, here is your sign. Here is your sign. Step away from the norm. This program will change your life. Change your life. And I would love to be a part of it. I would love to get demo Bullseye saddles out to members. Let's do it together.
Okay, so let's talk about that, Stephanie, because when people text the hotline, they want to talk to somebody, they might get you because you're now part of the team. Like you jumped in full send, deep into the water. What you got, Kendra? I want it. So you're one of our professional advisors, as is Shannon Weeks. We've got Kelly Crowley, certified coach. Here is how you get started, guys. You have 3 options this week. If you are on a budget, if you want the econo route, start here. This is muscle activation coaching 3 times a week. We're going to be there. Don't worry if you don't like to work out. I don't either. I don't like to sweat. This class is going to educate you on the compensation patterns. You're going to start to strengthen muscles you didn't know you had. You're going to start to activate them. When you learn how to activate your muscles in the correct order, doing the poses and the workout actually becomes easy. It's very doable. And when you start to feel your body change from the inside out, like I'm getting a lot of traffic right now because I've been sharing my results on my personal page. I've never had muscles like this. My body's never looked like this. My husband's pretty happy with it. But people are saying, like, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? How are you doing it? I'm not lifting weights. I'm not dieting, and I'm not going to the gym. I have a muscle activation coach. So you can come in, you can start here at $97 a month. There's a 7-day free trial. We work out 3 mornings a week for 45 minutes. At the end of class, first come, first serve, to ask questions and to watch our coach problem solve and like fix posture and fix pain on the spot is insane. It is so like, it's just really interesting to watch and to know that we're part of it. People have struggled with pain and limitations for years, and boom, within minutes, the light comes on in their eyes and they're like, wait, all I had to do is change the angle of my shoulder. I didn't know my foot was doing that before, but oh my gosh, my foot is the reason why I kept hitting the second barrel. Those are the answers you're going to get. Second option, come into our 3D escape plan course. When you sign up for this one, you get the best of the best. You're going to get my barrel pattern where I like spell out every single step. If you're a visual learner, good, because I happen to be a visual coach. I got you. I use a lot of analogies. We're going to do things non-conventionally. You do not have to ride an hour a day. You can if you want to, but not on the barrel pattern. You don't need a covered arena. You don't even need an arena. Give me 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, a few times a week. And I will get you out of the 3D using the barrel pattern that worked for me for so many years. It's how I made a living. It's how I paid for this arena in one check. Sold one horse, one check, bought this kit. 115 by 150. Lean feeding program. We're going to start explaining to you how I just moved my hips differently. This is your introduction to start learning how to move your hips different so that it unlocks your horse's back and increases their stride. You're going to get a weekly assignment. You're going to get a new coaching module every week. You can come in at $167 a month. We're going to make it a no-brainer. If you want to save the most, bundle the two together. Sherry and Stephanie, I know y'all can explain more if people want to hop on a call with you. Some people are like, you know what? That sounds great, but I don't want to commit to a monthly subscription. Fine. Get your cat pack. When we talked about the cat yesterday, the device that helps you retrain your muscle memory patterns without you having to be on your horse, so they don't have to go through the hardship and all those countless exhibitions and practice runs. You don't have to burn them out. Train yourself with the cat. This comes with over 40 modules on how to move your hands differently, how to move your hips, think about your forehead, your eyes, your feet, how to get through the barrel pattern going slow and at speed. And so this is the quickest way to remap your muscle memory. You're going to get the barrel pattern included, and you get your own cat device that comes in the mail. You can save $500 this week. You're going to use this code 3DEP, so take a screenshot. Stephanie, do you happen to have links to drop in the comments? How do you want people to talk to you, get signed up if they have questions? What's your availability for a call or a text?
Yeah, absolutely. Just text the hotline, 940-291-9090. You can say,
Okay.
Stephanie, hook me up. Stephanie, I want change. Whatever you want, I'm going to reach out to you guys. I'll send you a link. We can hop on a call. I'm here to support all of you guys.
I love it. 940-291-9090. We have links we can send you. Let's get you signed up. Doesn't matter what level you choose, you get to come to the Wednesday class. Get in those coaching calls with us. Even the coaches have coaches, and we're all learning as a collective community. And it is wild. I promise what you're seeing this week is just like, it's the first page. It's the first page of a new book. It feels like we're literally living out a movie script as it is being written. We know this is going to change the history of horsemanship. We know it's going to impact the sport of barrel racing forever. This is a pivotal moment in time, and we get to be the new leaders, the pioneers that bring it. Horses approved too. Sherry, did I miss anyone or anything before
Yeah,
we
there
go
was a
VIP?
comment. There was a comment that made it. It's I can't wait to dive in more once I'm back riding. That's the beauty of the CAT device is you're doing that
Yeah.
sitting on your saddle, sitting on a yoga ball, practicing. This gives your horse a break while you're retraining your muscles and your memory. And if anyone was like me, I would practice all these new things and I could do them great in the practice pen. I could do them great at slow. Then I'd go enter and I'd go back, revert back to what I'd always done, and I'd get super frustrated. The CAT device helps you overcome that. So when you do go run, you're able to, your muscles are retrained and all that remapping is done so that you're cutting that that time significantly.
Yes. Train yourself in muscle activation class. CAT is your off-season plan. When you come to the Wednesday call, we are all up leveling. We all learn something on Wednesday, every single one of us, because it's like a power-packed jam session of video assessments, listening to our guest coaches come in, our celebrity coach, Chris Irwin. We've got Carol Gaia. I mentioned her. She's in Spain. She is a level 2 dressage rider and trainer. Brilliant coach. She has traveled around the world studying yoga. She has done 6 retreats on 6 different times in her life where she goes 10 hours a day for 10 days in a row with no speaking to anyone. That lady knows a thing or two about the central nervous system and how our bodies, our mind, body, and spirit can get out of whack and we not even realize it. So she's a brilliant coach teaching biomechanics, teaching the brain science of it. Those of you who struggle with anxiety, there are so many levels to this. We want to get you started in whatever path makes the most sense to you. If you need your VIP, we're going to go VIP where we actually do real-time coaching. So that is in the next Zoom. Does anybody want that link before I end this session? Speak up now and we'll drop it for you. If not, we'll end and I'll see you tomorrow for day 3. I appreciate y'all being here. I really do. This is very important to us. I'm excited that you have taken the time to lend an ear and at least look, come and look and see and test. I'm going to challenge you to think about it. Think about what you saw today. Ask yourself, why is Kendra asking me these things? Why is she so passionate about this? Why does she seem so enthused? Why is it so important to her? Why should I care? Why should I change? You need to ask more questions. We have not asked enough questions traditionally, or we've asked the wrong questions. So I want you to really look within today. Do your horsework assignment. Tell me if you detect any sticky spots in your hips, and let's start ironing them out. All right, I'll see y'all in the VIP. Bye, guys.